Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're road tripping, bitches. To celebrate Britney's first birthday as a free woman, we're covering the movie Crossroads. And what makes it even better is that we have the amazing Brian, an uber Britney fan, joining us. Hi, Brian.
Welcome, Brian.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for having me. I'm ready for our road trip.
Woohoo!
What are we driving in?
What's
our car of choice?
That's a Buick Skylark that they're in. I had to identify it. Ken failed me this time. And we have to make sure we have plenty of NSYNC to sing along to, and some Shania Twain, and some Sheryl Crow.
But don't forget, I'm just a guy.
When you ask what kind of car, I'm like, yellow. That's what Brian, if you were wondering what I bring to the relationship, that's it. Jackie will tell you the make and model, and I'm going to say, it's yellow.
It's a convertible.
It ain't
yellow. It's got four wheels.
I would have said it ain't got no top. She says convertible. Tomato. All right, Jackie, tell us about this wonderful movie.
Crossroads is a 2002 coming-of-age tale centered around three recent high school grads who used to be best friends when they were young, but have grown apart once they reached middle and high school. A pact leads their paths to cross once again, and they find themselves on a cross-country road trip of self-discovery as they get to know each other as young adults. And the movie stars Britney Spears, Trayn Manning, Zoe Saldana, Ansen Mount, Dan Aykroyd, Justin Long, and Kim Cattrell. Danielle, who was this written by?
Shonda Rhimes.
You know, I have to tell you, I didn't pick up on that. I didn't even I don't think I knew that, to be honest. So that's pretty cool.
I'm a huge Shonda fan. Yeah. I am really sad and pathetic, and even have a Shonda Rhimes account that just talks about all the Shonda shows. I haven't really posted as much as I used to because now we have No More Late Fees and a bitch is tired. But shout out to my Shonda Rhimes soul sister, Shayla, because that's who I connect with on all this. So very excited.
I'm pretty sure in the past 13 years, Shonda has wanted Britney to be on one of her shows, and we just know that she probably wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
But Shonda, 2022 is a new year, and Britney's open, girl.
Yes. Love it. And then it was directed by Tamra Davis, and we've done quite a few of Tamra Davis's movies on the podcast already.
Tell me about it, because our audience doesn't remember.
Well, we did Billy Madison, and I'm pretty sure we did one of the other ones. Hold on.
Was it Half Baked?
Yes. It was Billy Madison and Half Baked. So this is our third Tamra Davis movie in 34 episodes spanning 10 years of movies we could choose from. So apparently we have a
She's got a type.
And it is Tamra. I will bring it up every time we do one of her movies. She directed the Ansen Mount videos.
Oh, geez. Yeah, this movie definitely gave product placement, music video movie vibes.
Wasn't mad at it.
No.
And then, so where to watch? It's a little tricky. Right now, it's not streaming. So you're going to have to dust off those DVDs to watch this movie. I
wonder why it's not streaming. There has to be a story behind it.
But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we are going to reveal the rating our Y2K selves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. So our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
Same day rental.
Trash. Straight up in the trash with Britney's pops dreams of her becoming a medical doctor. Trash.
All right, Brian, we'll start with you. Tell us what your rating is.
First, I have to say how iconic that was to watch y'all do live in person. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Freaking out right now.
Yay!
I love hearing it. Every time I listen to the episode, I'm just like, I love this part. and I think, I don't know if that was one of the first times I heard Jackie say the straight up trash part, because I just love when Danielle gives it that trash sass. I'm like, yes, I can do it. So
I think my goal every time is to try to make Jackie laugh pretty much, because I mean, after doing it for a while, I'm sure it can get boring. So it's just like, how can I surprise her this time?
I think my favorite so far was the Harry Potter, where you had a really terrible British accent.
From Edge.
Yes. I just recently heard that one. Yes, I love it. So thank you for letting me see that live in person.
Absolutely.
And now I get to give my live rating.
Yes.
So I've been thinking about this forever. Y2K version of me would go to Blockbuster, rent this, and never return it, girl. I'm paying fees. That's the Y2K version of me.
Have debt collectors coming after you years later for Crossroads. It's on your credit report. So Brian, yours is, I mean,
day rental with late fees.
No, it's
So
would steal
I'm
it again is what it is.
I mean, technically he's paying for it.
Yes, eventually.
Is he paying?
We're not getting this on recording. I didn't steal nothing. Allegedly, I kept the DVD longer than I should have. But yes, I did watch it, and I did watch it again.
What about you, Jackie?
I owned it, so would buy it again.
Okay, I do remember that I saw this movie. I remember parts of it, and I remember not really loving it and not watching it again. So it was like a 2-day rental for me. Sorry, Britney fans, please back the fuck off. I know it's crazy that I like the movie Glitter and I wasn't vibing with this one, but this was Y2K Danielle. So
okay, Danielle, hit us with the box office facts.
So surprisingly enough, this movie is compared a lot when critics talk about it to Glitter, but it was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything Brit touched, even to this day, it's always going to strike gold. Honestly, her staying power is amazing. So the budget was $12 million for this movie. And domestically, it made over $37 million. And worldwide, it made over $61 million. That is a hit.
Yeah.
From a budget standpoint. And just a little background on how this movie even got made. One of the producer, her name is Ann Carly. She had just left Jive Records, which we all know was Britney's label. She went to go start a career in film. And she actually suggested that Britney should be cast as the lead role in this movie because she saw Britney perform on SNL. And she just said, you know what, that girl has star power and potential to have an acting career, kind of like how Will Smith did. And she actually approached Clive Calder, who is the former boss and founder of Jive Records, about casting Britney. And he offered to front the film's $10 million budget. That's how much he believed in Brit. I mean, let's not act like he was just a benevolent king. He was in charge of Jive Records. So all he was going to do is make sure that all of the music and stuff was pushed out from Jive artists. Mm-hmm. So it did well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fun fact, before Crossroads, Britney did do a cameo in the movie Long Shot.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
At the very end, it was kind of like one of those post-credit scenes, I think. It was towards the end with Lance Bass as, I think, the star of that film. But she did do a little scene in there. And it's funny because the scene is kind of like before Toxic, because she's a flight attendant in that scene. Ooh. So it's really funny. So if you go back and look at that scene, just at the video, she, goes up to the person and, checks on them, and in the video, she does the same thing. So.
Oh, that's a nice callback. That's cool.
Love that.
And so we know Shonda Rhimes wrote the movie, and we talked about the director, Tamra Davis, but she was actually chosen, and she said no to another movie she was in negotiations with to do Crossroads. They really wanted to have a female director to nurture and protect Britney, this being her debut movie, which I thought was nice. All right, Jackie.
Okay, let's get into it. So we're never going to call them by their characters' names, but Britney plays Lucy, Zoe Saldana plays Kit, and Trayn Manning plays Mimi. And then Ansen plays Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty odd.
Both of these co-stars, Zoe and Trayn, Shonda said that they were both chosen because they look like real girls. So she thought it was really important to show people from diverse backgrounds and just felt like the movie should just look normal, which I think it did a pretty good job. It didn't seem like the Hollywood version of a teenage movie as so many others.
No.
Yeah.
So the movie opens and there's 3 little girls around the age of 10 digging a hole. Real quick cameo by Jamie Lynn Spears as the young Lucy, Britney Spears' character.
And that'll be the only time we'll talk about her.
Yes.
I wrote Jamie Lynn digging her grave early on.
Oh,
and you get
foreshadowing here.
You get some exposition. They all live in Georgia. They're going to put their dreams in a box and bury it and dig it up at midnight of high school graduation. And then we see Britney eating cereal, dancing around in her panties because she's already over sexualized, which I was very upset about. And she gets on her bed. She's still bebopping around and she puts jammy pants on. But who puts jammy pants on that way? I
don't. Me either.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
She laid on the bed and lays fully down and pulls them on where she has to lift up her booty and stuff. It was so weird. But anyway,
it was just showing that nothing will come in the way of Madonna and Lucy.
Right.
I'm dancing and I'm going to put these pants on in whatever dance move I'm in.
Yes. So she's dancing to Open Your Heart. And Madonna was actually sought after in the first choice to play the role of Lucy's mom in this movie, and she declined. And so the role went to Kim Cattrall.
And around this time, I mean, obviously, we already know that Britney was heavily influenced by Madonna, but the same year that this movie came out is the same year that she actually got to meet Madonna. So that whole time period for her was very Madonna heavy. So not surprised.
Yes.
And then Dan Aykroyd comes busting in.
It does that though. You have a teenage daughter. You're not walking into her room.
His character was really interesting because he cared a bunch. Obviously we find out very quickly that her mom left when she was 3. She hasn't heard from her. So he is very overprotective, but kind of very pushy in that he wants her to go to medical school. Yeah, very controlling. But then he also he'll make these weird, crazy demands. And then he'll be like, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the choices you've made. He tries to backstep on some stuff. I'm like, dude, you're all over the place and I cannot follow your train of thought at all.
I think here's my backstory because I have to do it in my head. I believe that his character has abandonment trauma issues way before he even met his future wife, baby mama. And he is so scared people are going to leave him that he suffocates them and tries to control them, leading them to actually do the quite opposite, which makes them want to run. And so I think that he's leading with his trauma and he's now teaching his daughter to live in this trauma with him, unfortunately. So tragic. Therapy is important, people.
I love therapy, definitely.
Yes. So he busts in and he's like, you're valedictorian. Get ready. We have to go. Which, why is she putting on jammy pants if she's supposed to be getting ready for graduation? None of it makes sense. And then
and she was eating cereal, but then did she also have a toothbrush in her hand?
So
was it the spoon?
Was it a spoon? Because for some reason I thought it was a toothbrush. And then when she goes to put her cereal down, there's a toothbrush in the bowl, and I'm like,
oh, we'll have to go back and look.
I could be completely wrong, but that's just what I saw.
And then the next scene is after graduation. And I wrote, hey, it's Justin Long, because he randomly shows up and I don't remember him being in the movie.
Me either. Not at all.
I remember.
And also, can we talk about, so in this time frame, we're hearing Brit's accent. We hear Dan Aykroyd going in and out of a Southern, because they live in Georgia, Southern accent, Zoe's weird accent. I'm like, you can't hide the New York accent or the Dominican accent coming out from this woman right now. It's just, what's happening? Where is everybody located? And then you have Beverly Johnson, who is iconic, one of the first few Black supermodels and one of the first Black people to like make a African American line of makeup in her time. Anywho, she plays Zoe Saldana's mom, and I got really excited about that. Just wanted to say that
her hat. It was such a Southern church going hat. This is my good outfit, my good pumps, and my Sunday hat for my baby's graduation.
Yes, she was church ready.
She was church ready
for graduation.
I wrote down in a scene where they're doing the picture with Kit's family, and then I guess the dean, or no, I guess the principal comes up. It's graduation from high school, not college, right? Yeah, because they're going to college. And the principal comes up and is excited for Britney, or for Lucy, and for her, she should get into music. And I just wrote down, okay, Jamie Spears controlling, because dad takes over and says exactly what her career is going to be. And I was like, yeah, right. I literally wrote right here, okay, Jamie Spears controlling, pitching her career.
I put not a stretch to deal with the controlling dad.
Yes.
So sad.
100%. And then we see Trayn Manning, and she is pregnant. The character Mimi is pregnant at graduation. Going back to Kit's photos that she's taking with her friends and stuff, her mom is like, tuck in your tummy, like smile better, blah, blah, blah. And so you can kind of tell how that relationship is, where nothing she does is perfect. And she's like very tall, very slender, and mom's still not happy.
She won't light up. Yeah. It's just constant criticism.
Yes. And then the next scene is now Brian, because Danielle and I went to the same school, so our answers are going to be the same. Did you hold prom the night of graduation?
No.
Yes.
Prom was always a month before, right?
Yeah, but okay, so that was weird. Prom after graduation, ? That's what I put. But then also later in the movie, Kit says, when they were talking about money, she's like, I had to get a good homecoming dress. So was it homecoming? Was it prom? Like, what was happening? And why is it after you've graduated? I didn't go back to that school for no dance.
my note, I don't know if we're here yet. My note about being at the dance. Are we at the dance yet? Or are we still?
Well, we see Britney crying in her fancy dress because she's like, I've spent my whole high school career like being the perfect student, getting good grades. I never went out and partied. Like I never went to a football game. Her dad's like, yeah, but you got good grades. So what the fuck you crying about, pretty much?
She's so lucky. Why is she crying?
A star.
She cried.
Lonely heart.
We're just going to burst into song.
Yeah.
Now we're at prom. Everyone's walking in.
Homecoming / prom. Yes.
Oh, in a scene prior to this, you see them in the high school, and like Zoe Saldana is like downright nasty to Britney.
I wrote right here, Kit is the ultimate mean girl.
Like for no reason. Why? And then she's like making fun of Trayn Manning being pregnant and stuff.
Yeah.
We figure out later.
Yeah.
Because we see who her mother is and the trauma. She's just projecting it. And I think she has a special brand of meanness and hate towards those two girls because they knew her at her true self. And I think a lot of the times people don't realize that when you're not being your authentic self and you're nervous and there are people who hold a mirror to you, you then project, you get mad at them, but you're really mad at yourself.
Yeah. So now we're back at high school / prom / homecoming after graduation. And is it literally raining glitter in the lobby of that hotel?
I don't know.
I didn't notice.
It seemed like it. And that's smoky. A fucking mess to clean up if it was. And then we see Mimi come in and she's kind of asking Kit and Lucy, like, are you coming at midnight? It's the pact, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, you know why. And so they're both like, no, I got better things to do. And Lucy and Henry, Justin Long, have a room at the hotel where prom is. And so they're going upstairs to their hotel room. Kit is dancing with her girl squad, and they're lamenting how hot guitar guy is.
Which
Yeah.
I think the band is Bowling for Soup on
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
Another
And so-
Jive Records band, by the way.
Didn't know that. The note I put right here for this scene, now that we're here, I'm like, why are they bouncing up and down like it's like 70s to rock music? Like the way
Yeah.
they're just like, bouncing like, like that. It's like a rock band playing. I that was my takeaway. I was like, why are they dancing like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was not a single ounce of rhythm in that whole
Not
group,
at
which is surprising because Zoe has been in center stage. Like, she knows how to dance.
But it happens a lot in movies because what ends up happening is that they play
don't play actual music.
a certain song or no music, and you just get a vibe, right? And then they screw you over, and in post they put in another song, so you look like you have absolutely no rhythm.
I've definitely done it, and I've been an extra for stuff in Austin. And I remember a long time ago, I was an extra on a TV show, and we were doing a dance scene. I think it was like a prom, and there was no music. So here you are, dancing, and you don't know. They did actually, like you said, Danielle, they started a song just to kind of give you like, you pick up on this beat, and then it would turn off because you got to record dialogue. So for the next minute, you just got to just, remember what that beat was. So, it is definitely interesting. And then when you see the final product, you're like, that song definitely was not what was playing. That song came out a month ago. How did they do this?
I would have been like, you're not going to get me, producers. I'm going to be like this the whole time.
Definitely.
So while they're all dancing off rhythm, they're talking about how Guitar Hottie just got out of jail for killing a man.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
It's super weird.
That song will give up later. And now we're back to Justin Long in just his boxers. Not a cute look.
Justin Long is so white. Honestly, he looks so freaking pale. Like he has never.
They couldn't give him a fake tan or something.
So now Justin Long is making the room sexy. He has scarves over the lamps.
Perfume spraying in his face.
Yeah, candles, like he's doing the whole thing. And then Brian, what happens next?
My favorite scene ever. I wrote right here, cute Britney laugh coming out of the bathroom. This is, to me, just an iconic moment for little sweet Britney. She just comes out of the bathroom with her hand, pokes her little head out, goes back in, comes back out, opens a little blazer, shows off what she's got, covers it back up because she's so innocent. She's not that innocent, but continue.
I put in my notes, I paused at that scene and I checked the time. It has not been a full 10 minutes of this movie before we have seen Britney in underwear for a second time. Two times, fully half naked.
Yep.
And Ken goes, how old was she when she made it? Because true feminist husband, that's his first question. and so I was like doing the math. I'm like, okay, she's
20?
a year old. Yeah, she's a year older than me. So she was 21. He's like, oh, okay. Like he calmed down after that, but he was indignant for a minute that a potentially underage Britney Spears was having to be in her bra and panties in a sex scene, like within 10 minutes of the movie starting. So
yeah. This part where, she's apprehensive. She really doesn't, like, she's not feeling Justin Long's character. There's like a list that he wrote of why they should
I have
do
the
this.
list. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
The justification for them having sex. They've been lab partners for 3 years. So that has shown they can trust each other.
Trust is important.
They are both 18 and have never done it, which is a great reason.
Yeah, very great reason.
Because
They
they both
both-
to college being a virgin.
Correct. And they both want to do it.
Do they though?
Right?
That's the
Right.
list. And then she's like, well, maybe if we get in the bed. And so then like he scrambles like
that's
fucking Chandler on Friends, like gets into the bed, and then she's like, nah. And then she's giggling because they're kissing, and
I mean, same.
And so
Don't you giggle when you kiss?
not typically. So eventually she's like, it doesn't feel right, and it should feel special, and it doesn't. And so he kind of tries to convince her, but I mean, he's not forceful or anything, or like stepping over any boundaries, which, I mean, thank you, Shonda, because it could have gone really poorly if a man had written this movie.
If a man had written this movie, there would have been so many different things about it.
Yes.
That scene would have been the opening scene.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And so then we see it cuts to Mimi, and her ex-boyfriend comes up to her, and he literally says, "How's the fetus?"
Yeah, I have that. And when I saw him, I was like, oh, that's the guy from Can't Hardly Wait.
That's Kenny's friend.
Yeah. So it seems right. It's just like he just graduated to this.
Yes. And so
How's the fetus?
she's like, it's not even yours. He's like, I'm just trying to do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. So you get some exposition there. And then the next shot is back where they buried the box. Trayn Manning starting to dig it up. Zoe Saldana shows up shortly thereafter. They're arguing over the flashlight, and then Lucy shows up with the shovel. So all three of them have upheld the pact to dig up the box. So, oh, and in this scene, they're both still, is Brittany in her prom dress, or is she in other
Yes.
clothes?
Yeah,
She's still in her
prom.
dress.
Okay. Zoe Saldana's in her prom dress, and then Trayn Manning is rocking the slip dress over jeans with boots.
Oh, that's that. I'm so glad that I hope, please don't let it come back. Please don't let it come back. Why were we wearing dresses on top of jeans? Why?
And I was like, I need to note this because this is iconic 90s fashion right here.
Yes. Well,
So they open the box. Kit's treasure was a bridal Barbie, and we find out she's engaged to Dylan, and who lives in he goes to UCLA. Lucy's was a locket, and she says something about she wants to try and find her mom again. She knows she lives in Arizona. And then Mimi has a little globe keychain, and she says she just wants to get out of town, go to California, put her feet in the Pacific. And she's actually working on that dream. She's going to drive with Hottie Guitar Man to California because there's an open record label audition that she wants to go to. And she's like, y'all are free to come. Not checking with Hottie Guitar Man.
Well, Brittany's character, Lucy's like, you can't go across the country by yourself. And she's like, well, then come with me then. I was just like, oh, okay, we're just daring each other to go across country. Great.
And also in this, Kit's like, you can't go audition. You're pregnant. And Mimi goes, I'm going to wear something slimming. Like they're not going to know.
The delusions.
Plus, who cares if she's pregnant? If she's going after her dreams, she's going after her dreams.
Yeah.
Anyway, and there's also a Polaroid of them as 10-year-olds in the bottom of the box.
And that really brings them together. All of a sudden, everything's magic and butterflies.
Because Mimi was all mad. She started to get up and storm away. And then they found the photo and they're like, oh, all bonded. Yes. The FF's all over again.
Yeah. And Kit has treated us like shit for the last 4 years. It's all good.
Actively sought them out to insult them.
Yep.
So Kit is working at her family store, I guess. At some point she's on the phone at a store. A customer asks for help. She yells for her dad because she's on the phone with Dylan and he's telling her he's not coming home. And so she's all pissed off. And so that's the catalyst for her showing up to go on the road trip because he's in California. And then Lucy decides she has to do something for herself. She wants to have a relationship with her mom, and she has convinced herself that her mom wants to see her. She's just afraid. And so she decides to go on the trip so that when they get to Arizona, they can drop her off at her mom's house. So she shows up with that fucking bucket hat.
She's got to be, you should know this, Jackie. She's got to watch out for the sun.
It's true, but she doesn't ever wear it in the car. There is a point, though, that Zoe Saldana is wearing a tube top. And I'm like, I could never do that. I'd be slathering on sunscreen every 15 minutes in a convertible car wearing a tube top.
Mhm.
Anyway, so Lucy leaves a note for her dad, like, sorry, I have to do this type thing. And then they all meet, and then they realize it's Guitar Hottie is the one Mimi has hitched a ride with. And and then I was like, that dude looks familiar. So I paused, went to my IMDb. He is Captain Christopher Pike on Star Trek Discovery, which is how I know him. He is still hot as fuck.
Still a hottie. Yes. I've seen
Oh
him
my
every
gosh.
day. Oh yeah.
The whole movie, I was just like, man, he's so fucking good looking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
They did good on that one.
it's kind of like he kind of fell into obscurity after this movie.
Yes.
But he definitely has aged well,
Yes.
like a fine wine.
Mhm.
And he also looks really good with a ton of facial hair. I saw a
Yes.
picture of him and I was just like, okay, Danny.
Daddy, sorry. Daddy, sorry. Daddy, sorry. That was us the whole movie.
And then there is a scene shortly thereafter. They're at a gas station, and Lucy's character is worried about the cleanliness of the bathroom she's going in. I was like, oh, this doesn't mirror real life.
Well, yes, and then later in another scene, I'm gonna talk about shoes on the bed, but I digress.
Oh yes, I wrote it down.
I digress. I do want to bring it back to Ansen really quick. Guitar guy, is that what we're calling him?
Ben.
Ben.
Apparently, Britney was very into helping pick her male counterpart in this movie, and she had to do a lot of kissing scenes to find that right person. And he does go on record and say when they initially met, there was instant chemistry between the two of them, even though he had to be pushed to accept the role. He thought the script was cheesy and lame, but surprise, surprise, was encouraged by Robert De Niro, who is apparently a huge Brit fan. They were working on the movie City by the Sea, and he even read lines with Ansen to help him get ready. Robert De Niro is an interesting character. I could say that for sure.
Did he?
All I'm thinking right now is I'm sure going to come up later. All I'm thinking when you said he helped him read lines, even though he's not in this scene, I hoped he helped him read the lines about asking, did you touch it? Did you see that? Like, I hope those are the lines that sold him on the movie.
And so now we are officially on the road trip. And he's listening to like his, I don't even know what kind of music it is. It's like
Alternative music.
Yeah, alternative, but it's not alternative because I listened to alternative and it was nothing I'd listened to. It's kind of like rock. I don't know. And they're like, can we listen to something on the radio for like 5 minutes? So they, of course, turn the station and it's gonna be May comes on.
And of course, at this time,
singing it.
Brittany and Justin were dating at this time. So of course, that was an obvious nod to her man.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's just like, can't even. And like he turns it off and they're like, come on. And so then he lets them continue their karaoke in the car. And then it's time for them to stop for the evening. And he's like, oh yeah, I got some tents and a tent and some sleeping bags. We're camping out. And they're like,
no way.
No,
Kit is not about it.
No.
It's like, I am not camping.
It doesn't even feel safe, like part of it is when they start to get to the desert area. I was like, all those wild animals, hell no. And then just I'm not trying to get snatched up, I would be prime real estate on the trafficking scene. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get snatched.
So they find this like really crappy hotel to stay at. And as they're going to bed, like Kit and Lucy are sharing a bed, and then Ben and Mimi are sharing a bed. But Lucy and Ben seemingly stay up late, like talking about their life and like Lucy's mom and things like that. So they're starting to like get
Make this
to
little
know each
bond.
other.
I wrote here
So
that
precious.
the first stop is they're in Alabama. They went
Mhm.
to that Waffle House so they can count money because they were like, how much money do we even have?
Oh, that's right.
Lucy asks, do we have a plan? Like, do we have a plan for hotels? And, and how much money do we have? So after scrounging up the 4 of their combined money, they have $486 to last for 6 days. This 6-day road, I don't know if it's a 6-day road trip. I just remember Mimi saying that the audition was in 6 days.
Yeah.
From the prom homecoming night.
So the next morning, Brittany's showering. Mimi walks in for something. Zoe Saldana walks in and needs to brush her teeth. And then they start talking about how Ben just got out of prison for murdering someone. And Mimi's like, well, I don't think that's the case, but whatever. He's done his time.
Okay.
And Lucy is like, what did you say? What? We're on the road trip with a murderer. She is very unhappy at them, especially because like at this point she's already started to develop a little crush on him, and now he's just out murdering people in these streets.
Yep.
So that's when they get back on the road, and it's that weird Kill a Man song that he's listening to, because he doesn't know that they think he's killed a man, but he's listening to this song that's all about killing a man, and they're all just like in the back like, don't move, don't say
That
anything.
song is so amazing. Here's one thing I can't understand: how you can just kill a man.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so
And so they stop at a grocery store, and Lucy's just gonna run in, and then Mimi is like, well, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go get something too. And then Kit's like sitting there, and she like looks at her and she's like, wait for me, and like pieces
She's
out
there doing
too.
her hair.
Yeah.
Comes on, sees he's staring at her, and she's like, guys, I'm coming too.
So they're in
And
the grocery store.
I think there too, when they all got up from that previous night, Ben asked Lucy to sit up front with her, and she also said no. She was already
Yes.
starting to give that cold shoulder because of this breaking news that he's a murderer.
Exactly. So while they're finishing up at the grocery store, Lucy uses a payphone, an old-fashioned sentence, to call Dad and just let him know that she's okay and everything. And he says, come back now, regard that as a command, and the bitch hangs up on him. She 18, she grown, she don't need to listen to you, Pop. Sorry.
What Britney should have done 13 years ago.
100%. And then Lucy's always journaling. And so Ben kind of asks her, like, what are you writing? She's like, nothing, it's nothing. Or no, she goes, stuff. And so she's kind of being short with him because he's murdered someone.
Well,
and then
when she is doodling in the movie, like when she's doing those scenes, she is literally writing Justin and Brittany.
Oh dear.
With
Lord.
hearts.
No man.
Is that a legit fact? Oh
yes.
my God, Brittany.
She had it bad.
She's like, I think she was telling herself, like, Ansen's hot. Remind myself, I got Justin. I got Justin. She's like, Justin, don't forget Justin.
And then smoke and steam start coming out of the hood of the car. As he's like reaching to touch the hot thing, I literally yelled to the TV like an old lady, don't touch it. And then he burns himself, and I was like, did to yourself.
That's what you get.
See, I wouldn't even attempt to touch it.
I wouldn't even
know how to open the roof.
I was like, when the guy said, oh, it's the head gasket, I asked Ken, I was like, could it be the head gasket? And he's like, there's no way to know unless you like get in there and look. And then Brittany gets in there because her dad is a mechanic, and she's like, oh no, it's a cracked radiator. And I was like, oh, so this bitch was wrong. And then they're all sitting around waiting for Ben to come back with the tow truck because they're in the middle of nowhere. And they kind of start
hungry.
Mimi's hungry. Mimi's always hungry, but she's feeding too. So
she's pregnant.
It's fine. And they give her a hard time about it. It's like, let the bitch eat. I mean, she's not eating the healthiest stuff, but she's hungry.
But honestly, why didn't they, when they stopped at the gas station, I would have gotten a nice surplus of things to keep me going throughout the road trip. But, she
got a bag of Cheetos.
Instead of supporting their girl, Kit goes crazy and yells at her. And then it's World Star.
And then at this point, she calls Mimi a trailer trash skis, which I'm like, damn fucking Kit. Like, she was one of your really good friends. Like, obviously you see value in her. Why you be calling her fucking names? Like, that's not who she is. It may be her circumstance in life, but that's not who she is. Anyway, I was not happy with Kit. And was it at this part that Ansen's still trying to talk to Britney and she's like, who says we don't belong together? I have it as a note and I don't.
Britney or Lucy says it when they're all fighting because Lucy has to break the two girls because they're pulling each other's hairs. And she's like, you two, you're bitching and moaning all the time. She goes, we don't belong together. The three of them.
Okay, thank friends. You. Yes.
Oh.
And now the car is towed and Ansen walks over and goes, it's a cracked radiator. Like she knew. And he said, it's going to be ready by tomorrow. Lucy's like, I'm just calling my dad to come get me. This is ridiculous. I'm over it. And Mimi comes in. She's like, please don't call him. I'm sorry. Like, let's just continue this road trip together. Like, it's really important for Mimi for her to have like her friends there with her.
And she has a plan. She's like, I got a plan. Don't leave. I have a plan.
And somehow they end up in the French Quarter,
which is funny because they actually filmed the movie in Louisiana, close to Brit's hometown. If you didn't know, she's a Louisiana girl. And
Can't
even
Louisiana.
Her t-shirt has one of the colleges, I think it's Southern University, on her t-shirt in one of the scenes.
Yes. And when they broke down, I looked at Ken because we make that fucking drive often to go to Florida. And I was like, they're in Louisiana, aren't they? And he goes, yep. And then like a scene later, they say we're in Louisiana. I was like, I fucking knew it. Like there's that long ass bridge. So
the part where she calls her dad, I wrote down here, whenever she goes inside the mechanic lobby to call her dad, I watch her type on the phone and I wrote down, did she even press enough numbers to call? She was just like, Dad. I watched it too. I was like, I need to see that at least, press 9 buttons, girl. Maybe 10. You got to press 1 or 9, whatever it was back then. And she definitely pressed like 3 or 4. So, that mechanics must have each other on speed dial or something.
Yeah, like it's an extension she dials.
There we go. Okay.
Maybe she's paging him.
So Mimi's great idea is there's a karaoke contest, but anything you earn in tips you get to keep.
Yes.
Seems like that's the premise. And so they're all getting ready. Britney's in like this very like conservative outfit. And so they go out on stage. Britney's now all tarted up. She has like the crimpy 90s hair.
How did they crimp her hair so quickly?
I saw that too. Her hair was just like nicely done and all of a sudden it's crimped. But hold on, girls, 1 second. Kit just told me my outfit wasn't cute enough for the stage. So one moment.
When he comes back, I'm definitely saying, welcoming to the stage. It's Brian in his new Brit outfit. Oh, welcoming to the stage. It's Brian in his new Britney shirt.
And Britney's got her microphone. She's ready. And Kit approves. It's karaoke, girls.
And so they come out, they're singing I Love Rock and Roll, and Mimi is actually doing leads. She gets really bad stage fright. which I don't get because she's about to go audition for a record company.
None of that storyline makes a lick of sense to me. None of them. But all three girls do have a decent singing voice. They can carry a tune for sure. I could hear it because they sing a lot in this movie. It's just a damn karaoke movie for sure.
Yeah. So as Mimi's panicking, Ken yells, "Step up, Britney."
Oh my God. And
like, hold on, she will.
And I love how they're like really getting on top of that poor girl saying she's pregnant. You hear people in the audience like
the mullet man,
like
get off the
she
stage.
Can't sing because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
We should have been saying they're underage.
Yeah. Because that is facts. And then Britney asks Mimi, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "No." So that's when she knows she needs to step up, start singing. And then so she starts singing and she starts rocking it. And the next thing I wrote was, Ben's got a boner. Because he's just staring at her. And then
his faces during that number was so cute. I wrote here, Britney was so sexy and Ben was making funny, cute faces the whole time. Because he was like, what is happening? I like this. I did not expect this.
I love how she's like, I can't. Yeah. I love just completely
and rocking that pole. She's like, shaking everything. I'm like, where did you learn this, Miss Valedictorian?
It reminded me of Coyote Ugly.
Yes.
When Violet has to start singing and then she kicks it into high gear. I also noted that there is a whole shit ton of body glitter in this scene. Very 90s.
This glitter I didn't notice. Yes.
It's all over Britney's chest and stomach.
Oh my God.
My fun fact here, the Britney fans may know, in that Britney Spears has a music video for I Love Rock and Roll, which was on this album. That was all the songs are coming from. In the video, this is Britney singing, standing with a microphone, and she shows her hand like this, and on her hand it says the name Ben and has like a fake phone number. So that was like a little nod back to the movie that in the music video she has Ben on her hand.
Oh, well, I'm glad that.
I'm glad you brought up the album because the movie took 6 months for them to film because she was making her third album at the same time. So like you said, a lot of those songs that should have been on the soundtrack somehow didn't make it. And so she ended up putting them on the Britney album.
There's 3 songs in this movie that are all on the Britney album. The Britney album was released November of 2001, and then this movie was released February 2002. But yeah.
So what was actually on the soundtrack if all the major hits were on her?
I honestly don't think I even got the soundtrack to this movie, so I don't know.
It's interesting.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
So then the tip jar is full. It is,
and it's not a jar. It's one of those those huge
Zephyr
water
Hills jugs, 5-gallon jugs. And so they're like, "Fuck yeah, we made some money." Zoe Saldana and Britney are just dancing. What song was playing? I wrote it down.
Shake Your Ass.
Yes.
I wrote it on here too. Shake Your Ass.
Yes. And so Ben and Mimi are sitting counting all the money, and Ben's watching Britney dance. And then this guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, are you with her?" Which, I mean, like, bro code, that's at least he asked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ben's like, "No, I'm not with her." And so, but then the guy goes over and immediately starts getting handsy.
Yeah.
And Bernie is like telling him no and like, "Let go of me, get off me." He's trying to like rub his dick on her. And she's like, "No, get away. Like, I just want to dance with my friend." And so then Ben goes over and handles his business.
I think also Kit, which it felt weird that Kit didn't jump in, but I realized that she hadn't learned how to
throw a punch
yet. Hopefully someone shows her.
But I know his reaction, Ben's reaction after this whole situation happens is super weird. Did you guys feel like the vibes were odd? Like, why was he mad at her? He even said, "I'm not mad at you." Why would you, bitch? I was just living my life.
Yeah.
It was, he got so weird.
I put here that the fight guy that was trying to dance with Lucy, was actually one of her choreographers at the time, Brandon.
Oh.
So yeah, that's the fun fact. So he actually got a little role in there.
I noted that
if you go to Brandon's actual IG, you'll see that he constantly still to this day posts some throwback photos with her, probably helping with the Free Britney cause. But yeah.
Oh, cool.
I just wrote he was wearing an Old Navy colored shirt that were popular in the early aughts.
I'm sure I definitely
it was like a mustard yellow or something.
Yeah, with stripes.
I probably own that one.
Yeah, I love me
that was
some
definitely
Old
a
Navy.
Brian.
Old Navy was my jam.
But as soon as Ansen throws the punch, Mimi knows when to peace out.
Yeah, grabs
all
the money.
that fucking money. Like, I'm out of here.
And he doesn't punch. He does a full-on elbow move.
Yeah. Yes.
I liked it. I rewound it. I'm not gonna lie. I watched it a few times.
In your dreams tonight.
it's gonna be rated NC-17 tonight.
And now they're bougie because they have all of their karaoke money. I don't even know how much in the middle of the French Quarter, they overlook a courtyard. How much fucking money did that hotel room cost? They ordered everything on room service. They were pulling everything out the minibar. I'm like, girls, I don't think you understand.
Where's the budget,
you don't do that.
Where's
you don't do that.
Oh man.
So in that scene, I don't know if y'all have this note, but in that scene when they first show them in this fancy hotel room and the girls start dancing and just celebrating, the song playing is Trayn Manning's song with her band Boomcat. The song's called Crazy. So we get a little Trayn.
I used to. I don't remember what show used to actually play some of her songs, but her band was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name, but there was one song I loved back probably when around this time that Crossroads came out, put her a little bit on the map. Then I remember loving a certain Boomcat song. I can't remember it now, but I'm sure if I heard it, I would still love it.
It just reminds me of the choreographer from Making the Band, Lorianne. Boom Boom Cat. That's all I hear when you say Boom Cat. But this is a scene where they're jumping on the bed. Britney's jumping on the bed, and she is wearing her boots. Now
the three girls are outside having their smorgasbord of buffet, and they're just like, let's get personal, girls. Let's catch up on life. Have you ever seen one? Have you at least touched one?
You know what, Jackie? When I think about it in our friendship, I mean, obviously we met at a very pivotal age. We never ever talked about that stuff. We never talked about sex or had we touched one or anything. I don't even think we really even said much when we lost our virginity. Like we never talked about it.
We're just like,
what movie are we watching?
What's your shift tomorrow, Blockbuster?
When you making me rainbow cake again? Those are the important things in life.
but you look back at it, like I feel like a lot of 90s, probably even movies still this day, but all the young teen movies, they always have the sex conversation. It just happens, right? They talk about something that in that ballpark nature of it. So it's funny that these girls are talking about if they've seen a guy's thing or not.
But it's definitely a different lens because it's from a female perspective than if it was by men making the movie. You could tell the difference even in just like the wording of how they start talking about it.
And then they start kind of getting into more of their trauma growing up, essentially.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, we've got abandonment issues with Lucy. We've got fat phobia and just complete insecure feelings from Kit. And then, what's the pregnant one? What's Taryn's name again? Mimi was sexually assaulted.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are very important topics in this movie, which even my Y2K self was like, this is a pretty heavy movie to be like geared towards teenagers. Like it's important conversations to have with teenagers.
Yeah.
But it was not expected. It was like almost very ahead of its time in that way, bringing up these really important issues.
Yeah.
In a time where we have like a heavyweights or we have a shallow Hal.
Oh my God. I have
things
to do it.
Are not like talking about those things in a great light.
When we do one of those movies. We definitely have to talk about the use of fat suits as like this funny thing. But one thing that Kit does say, that she grew up and she became, you know, when she lost the weight, it was the lowest and the highest point of her life because she became prettier than her mother. And I wrote, prettier than Beverly Johnson, bitch, you crazy. That I had to say no. Sorry.
Well, talking about like, you know, fat suits and whatnot, like, are we gonna mention how terrible Taryn's fake pregnancy belly looked? Like it was such the little pillow hanging there. I'm like, technically, if this is May, I don't know. If this is May and she got pregnant in December, should her belly first of all be a little maybe? I don't know. I think maybe girls' bellies drop at 4 and 5 months, but that belly was funny.
It was a fake ass belly.
Yes. And so Mimi goes into the fact that she doesn't really party even when she wasn't pregnant. She never drank or anything. She didn't see the point in it. And she was having a really bad day. And so she met this guy. He was drinking out of a blue beer bottle and he was really nice to her. And so they had a conversation. She drank way too much and he ended up sexually assaulting her. And so she was kind of like, no, but it's my, like, I shouldn't have been drinking. Like she internalized it as something she did rather than what he did to her type thing. And so we kind of get exposition about her trauma in this scene too. So they're kind of growing closer together as they share these like intimate details about their lives. And then the next day, and she said she doesn't even know his name. She just like went to a party and met him randomly.
Yeah, so Kit realizes, so it's not Kurt's, what's his name? And she just looks away. I don't know. I never got it.
Yeah.
That's what's sad about it.
And then the next day is Ben has not allowed them to help drive at all. He's driven the whole way. Plus he stayed out all night because he was pissed off about like the fight at the bar. And so he shows up and they get back on the road and they're fueling up and he passes out in the back seat while they're getting gas.
And they're in Texas now, by the way.
Yes.
Home state here, y'all. They're in Texas.
And so they're like, Lucy, just get his keys. Like his keys are hanging out of his front pocket. And she's like, why do I have to do it? And Mimi's like, because Kit and I voted and you lost. And
so
I'm
cute.
Like, love it. And so she gets the keys and Mimi's like, oh, I'm going to drive. Apparently no one has learned how to drive in their high school except for Brittany because her dad was a mechanic.
So that equals I know how to drive.
Yeah, apparently. And so Brittany's like, okay, I'll drive. So she's driving along, but I was conflicted on this because they were talking loud as fuck and like singing and like you want him to rest, yet y'all being fucking loud.
Yeah.
But also, wouldn't the wind noise, like you wouldn't be able to hear shit what was going on in the front seat?
I would have felt the car turn on.
It depends like how drunk he went and got that night all on his own.
Oh, that's
to the point. Like, did he maybe fall asleep in that car like an hour before, so he's in deep sleep?
Does he ever explain why he was so caught up in his feelings, or is it a correlation to when we find out what he went to jail for? Like, is that triggering those kind of feelings?
I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They definitely don't speak on it, but
yeah, because we soon find out why he went to jail. Spoiler alert, it wasn't because he murdered someone.
Did not kill a guy.
And so they're
driving in the car.
Yes. And also when they're at the gas station, the dashboard is just littered with trash. I'm like,
oh, I know.
Why are you not cleaning up? You're at the gas station.
The trash can right there.
Yeah. Like that's when you take all your trash out.
Mountain Dew. There's a Mountain Dew bottle,
the Pepsi.
A can, the Pepsi. Of course, Britney was doing Pepsi commercials around that time as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It's a great time. So in this movie, you see like a Pepsi machine randomly when they're at the gas station. They're only drinking Pepsi products because of Brit's deal with Pepsi. And at some point, I think you also see like a Herbal Essence shampoo bottle as well. So again, what I said in the beginning of this movie was a product placement. Music video.
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe that's why they did the trash purposely. So it's like a way to do the product placement without doing the product placement kind of in your face.
Because it worked. All of us immediately noticed it,
Yeah.
It's right there.
Like, clean that trash.
100%. So yes. So now we're back on the road. They're singing Shania Twain really, really loudly.
Yes.
And he wakes up and he is like, pull over. And they're like, no, it's fine. We'll keep driving. And he's like, no, pull over now. And then he like flies out of the car and throws a hissy fit. He's like stomping around the desert, kicking the dirt, yelling into the void. And so they're all like, someone has to go talk to him. And they're all like, no, he murdered someone. I'm not going to talk to him. And so finally they pull Kit and I voted and you lost. So Lucy, you go talk to him. And so she goes, and like this interaction, I feel like any interaction between any of the characters, except for Dad, there were boundaries set and they didn't cross any boundaries. Like she asked, or like she went to touch him and he's like, don't touch me. And she's like, okay, no problem. I'm not going to touch you. And so she apologizes again for the night before. And so then he just starts going into this diatribe about how he's been surrounded by chicks for days and we have to listen to your music and do all these things. And like, my car is it's my car and I want to be able to drive it and I don't want it to be taken over by chicks. And she's like, okay, then you can drive, no problem. And so, and he kept saying, I'm a guy.
And like this. I'm a guy. I'm a guy. And I'm like, what is this?
A house? Charades?
Yeah, what are you? Toolbox?
He got real caught up in his field. That was the weirdest meltdown I've ever seen without explanation. Like a real valid explanation, at least.
So it's brought up that he was in jail. And Lucy asked, so you killed a guy? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? and so he kind of explains that his stepsister called him because his stepdad was beating her. His mom was not able to help the situation. So he came and got his stepsister and brought her back to college with him. Unfortunately, it was over state lines. And so he was charged with transportation of a minor over state lines because his stepfather pressed charges. And so he was in jail for like 6 months and like couldn't leave the state for a year or something like that. And she's like, oh, like what you were doing was admirable kind of thing.
Which I think now explains why he had the reaction he had with like violence and stuff like that because of his stepfather and why he needs to go decompress after all of that.
That makes sense. 100%. And so now she's like, oh, I can have a crush on you. It's okay now. You didn't murder anyone. And now we're at like the Red Rocks. I think it's outside of Las Vegas. And so they pull over to watch the sunset over the desert. And
do you guys notice that he only helps Britney on the rocks, but doesn't help Kit, and nobody helps Mimi.
But I caught that too. But it's funny because he helped Lucy, but he does verbally say, "Mimi, you okay?" But I laughed. I was like, she's the pregnant one. Like,
but if you see like, okay, he turns and he helps Brit over, and then like you could kind of see Kit like, okay, and then he like he's gone. And I'm sure
they probably added that ADR. I'm sure he didn't say it in real time. And then Shonda was like, oops.
This looks bad.
She's pregnant. Ben or Ansen, can you real quick just record that you checked on her?
Yeah, so bad.
And so the girls, I don't know if Lucy's relayed information about how Ben's feeling or whatever, but they're like, hey, do you still have your tent and your sleeping bags? Let's camp out here. And so he kind of regains some of his control over his road trip because he had a plan and his plan just went to shit once all these girls hopped in his car.
He was upset about sleeping in nice accommodations with bitches in his bed. Please.
But he didn't even sleep in the nice hotel, right? Because he was out all night and then fell asleep in the car.
That was on his. Yeah. That was his problem.
Yeah, that was on him. He had a chance.
Yeah. And then after that, do they make it? Is this when now they're dropping off Lucy at her mom's house?
Before that,
in the evening, they're sitting around the campfire. Mimi's teaching Kit how to throw a punch.
Oh, right.
And then Ben's just playing the harmonica and Lucy's writing in her journal and
her poetry.
And Mimi's like, oh, which way's the restroom again? And Brittany says, ladies' room is third bush after the rock. Like they had a designated bush for peeing.
That's amazing.
I feel like that should be like a porn.
Third bush after the rock.
Is Ansen in it?
Yes.
Ooh,
Subscribe.
And so he asks again, what are you writing? And so she's like, I just write poems.
Oh, why?
I'm so yawning.
He asks if he can hear some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So she reads about 2 or 3 lines from it that she's gotten so far.
And it's not a girl, not yet a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ben's like, oh, you have ash on your face. She did not have ash.
There was
her
nothing.
Face.
There was nothing there. I was like, don't see anything.
Where?
And so they're leaning in for a kiss. And then Mimi hollers because something bit her in her ass. And they're like, it's nothing. It must be a bug bite. And she's like, no, it's something there. And then Ben's trying to help. And she's like, you don't look. Everyone else looks.
He's like, how can I not? You literally are yelling and your ass is out.
Something bit my ass. Yeah.
I also love that Kit has her hair in full on rollers. Which for me, I 100% appreciate a Black presenting woman doing something with their hair at night, because when I see movies and TV shows and Black women with their, their silk press, their perms, their hair, just going to lay down to bed, it's not realistic. That's not what we do. Our hair will look a hot mess the next day. You're ruining your hairstyle. Like, that always drives me crazy. So I appreciated that she was extra and had her rollers in her hair.
And so now it's the next day. They're in Arizona. Brittany's debating, like, do I just show up? Do I call my mom? They're like, no, she's gonna be so happy to see you. You should just surprise her. That was the wrong answer.
Yes. That was not a smart choice.
And they're like, hey, we'll be in town till tomorrow. If you need anything, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that's okay. I'm just going to stay with her. She legit shows up on this woman's doorstep.
Yes.
After 15 years with her purse and her like duffel bag full of clothes, and rings the bell, and Kim Cattrell answers and is like, oh, who are you? And she's like,
how do you not recognize your own daughter?
And she's like, I'm your daughter, mama. And she's like, come in. And
like,
then
I thought I left that trash in Georgia.
And so then you quickly realize this lady has built a whole nother life for herself. She has 2 young sons and does not want anything to do with Lucy at all. She's like, and she keeps calling her Lucy. Like, why are you here, Lucy? And she's like, I thought you'd be happy to see me. And she was like, kind of like, well, you thought wrong, because meanwhile she takes a call from one of her sons and she's like, yeah, daddy's gonna pick you up, blah blah blah, I love you, bye. And then has this conversation where like she is not accepting of Lucy as her daughter at all, like wants nothing to do with her. So the next scene is they're all at the hotel and Lucy shows up wet and sad, and essentially, and she goes into the bathroom, and so Ben comes in, and she said that essentially her dad forced her mom to have her. She was never wanted, and that's why mom left.
I just feel like, I think Britney with some training really could have been a pretty good actress. And in this scene, she really, you could see the emotion, like it didn't feel fake. It felt genuine. I think she did good with this role too, because it probably was very close to her actual personality. Yeah. And before we even really knew it, how much pain she was probably harboring. Yeah.
I was going to ask how y'all thought about her crying scene there. Yeah, if it felt genuine, authentic to you.
I didn't see a tear. I didn't, but it felt very genuine.
Yeah.
It felt like, oh, I felt sad for her.
Yeah, she was just broken. Like she had pegged all her hopes on having this relationship with her mom and being accepted, and it didn't happen. And then it's the next morning. Oh, and I wrote, she kept saying, I'm fine. And then I wrote, she was in fact not fine. And so now it's the next morning. Mimi's hair in this scene where it's braided in rows and like beaded at the ends.
I did not notice this at all.
I think I noticed. Yeah.
Oh. And I was like, where did she get the beads from? Because I could see like maybe Kit was just like bored and like did her hair or whatever. But I'm like, where'd she get the beads from? But she also has a bunch of those shirts with fringe with like beads on the end. I was like, did she like untie her fringy shirts and pull all the beads off so that she could have the Monica in Barbados like hairdo after? It was very interesting. Anyway,
for that scene now. but I'm gonna try to look for that picture right now. But now that you say it, I wonder if actually the scene where Lucy comes to the hotel room, you know how Ben is sitting there playing with his guitar. I think Kit is doing something to Mimi's hair.
Oh, okay.
They are on a bed together, doing something with her hair. So I guess
we'll have to revisit that.
Yes.
And then Ben comes busting in. He's like, "Let me see your journal." And then, or let me see the poem you wrote for me. So she's like, okay, it's right here. And the bitch rips it out of her journal. You can't just be ripping pages out of people's journals, Ben.
That's copyright.
That is not okay. And so what Ben has done is he's written music to go along with this poem. So he kind of shows her like how to sing it and like where the bridge goes. So she starts singing with him. And they share a kiss. And then Ansen said he played a prank on Britney during the kissing scenes. He told Entertainment Weekly that he ate minced garlic before kissing her, and she was too polite to even say anything.
That's Britney for you.
Oh, that is Britney.
That's Britney in a nutshell right there. She's so sweet. That's so funny. Gross. Garlic.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fun joke.
No.
That's nasty.
No. So now we are, Brittany calls Dad. She says, and I think she gets the voicemail at this point, and she's like,
she does.
I'm fine. You were right about Mom. Like everything, like we're good, but I'm continuing on to California with my friends. She's checking in, which is responsible of her. And
with you saying that, that's something that throughout the movie she's done that. At least she's always tried to check in.
Exactly.
Whether it's, because she's upset or just to not let him be worried. That is very responsible of her. And
now they're on their way to California. They're singing Sheryl Crow, even Ben singing, like Brittany's sitting right behind him. And so she's leaning over, like holding his hand. It's very, very sweet.
You happy.
And the next scene is they're on the beach in California. Mimi's getting her wish. She's playing in the Pacific Ocean. Her and Kit are having a grand old time. And Brittany and Ben are making googly eyes at each other on the beach blanket and just talking and enjoying
I
each
just
other's
want
company.
To talk about the scene. So y'all just kissed. You found out he's not a killer. Now you're ready to move to California, go to school there with him and be there with him.
I feel like she was always there. She just needed an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, but I'd rather it have been like, this is what I want to do. It felt like she was doing it to be with the guy. And I'm surprised that he didn't run for the hills. Like, baby girl, we've only kissed. And now you're ready to change your entire life story. I don't know. I've never run away to be with a guy before. So I don't have that experience.
I mean, I moved to Austin.
Well, then Jackie's the girl to tell it. It's not me.
But again, like I think that's how I have the perspective of she was just looking for an excuse. Like I knew I wanted to leave Florida. You live anywhere but Florida? Okay, I'll go to Austin. And so the next scene is them in line for the record audition. Jesse.
Yes. Did you notice him too. I have it. And I had to Google because I was like, I'm not sure if I'm correct. But do you guys remember on MTV, they did a contest to find their next VJ?
And it should have been Dave Holmes the whole time. And then Jesse was so fucking weird. He won. So then MTV is like, well, Dave Holmes is the dude who should have won because he knows about music.
Yes.
And so then they hired him too. And Jesse was just kind of like the face of.
And then they phased his ass out because he was crazy.
Yes. But I was like, and then in that scene, if you watch, because there's like exposition going on between Mimi and Brittany and Ben. And so poor Zoe Saldana is like standing there having a pretend conversation. And like, she keeps like looking away and stuff. And then he like continues to engage her. I'm like, oh, he's bugging her the shit out of her.
I noticed that. I noticed that annoyance, awkward going on between Kit and that guy. Yeah.
So awkward. And so, yes. Jesse, the VMA DJ, shows up as a cameo. Not surprising, this was produced by MTV Films.
Yeah.
And so they get the applications for the record tryouts. Kids continually trying to call Dylan, can't get a hold of him.
I wrote in here, Kit tries to see her fiance, but he's sketch.
He is sketch. So she finally gets a hold of him and she's like, I'm in town. Let's get together. He's like, oh, tonight's not good for me. And she's like, tomorrow. And he's like, no, nah, son. And finally she's had it. She's like, okay, well, whatever.
I love the level of crazy because even though she's saying to everyone, I'm fine, the wheels were already in motion.
Yeah.
That I ain't going out like this. I'm coming to you. I'm going to find out what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Because it was kind of weird to me as I was watching. I was like, she's letting that go that easily? That's weird. Yeah. But no, she tricked us.
Well, she tells the rest of them, he's really busy studying for finals, but we are fine. I was like, bitch, you ain't
doesn't sound fine, girl.
You're about to dial the crazy up to like 10. Yeah. And so Mimi and Kit are like, we want to go sightseeing. And Brittany's like, I'm tired. And then Ben's like, I'm tired too. And so Mimi, and then they're like, well, how are we going to drive around? And he's like, here, take my car. Which, the whole movie is like, don't touch my fucking car. And now all of a sudden it's okay. That's a little real quick. And so they're driving and Mimi has the map and she's like, wait, I think the Hollywood Hills are behind us. And Kid's like, we gotta go somewhere first. And she is
gotta make a stop
straight to Dylan's house. And Mimi's like, I think this is a bad plan. And Kit, it'll just be real quick.
And she's like, no, you should stay with him by yourself. Like Mimi was trying to leave. Like she didn't want to be in this scenario.
But how long did they drive? Because they got there when it was dark out.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they're driving to ambush Dylan. And
did you just say, oh no, you did say he was in UCLA, right? And they are in LA. I don't know why I was thinking San Diego or something.
That would have been insane.
And as soon as like the door clicked and they were out the room, Ben and Brittany were like, we're gonna fuck.
I wrote here, Lucy and Ben, do it. Sorry, Justin Long.
Yes.
And she
because it had to feel right.
She didn't need a list, that's for sure.
She didn't need a list.
And it was up against the fucking plate glass window.
Yes.
Back to the ocean.
Well, that was playing games with my eyes. I was like, are they gonna fall? Is she against the glass? Is that real? I didn't know.
They both, put their hands on each other. I'm like, are they fighting something? Or are they just like both?
It was definitely from a female gaze again, because they didn't get into it was insinuated that she bombed chicka bow bow. Like it, we didn't have to see it, and I appreciated that. Even though we got the two half naked parts of Britney.
I did appreciate getting to see him with his shirt off and see his for some reason I just found it really sexy with his tattoos from behind.
Yes. Even though I hate those tattoos. Remember when everyone was all those like douchebags were getting them? Sorry if you're not a douchebag, but like the ones on your arm that would the tribal inspired ones.
Yes.
that they had no idea why they were getting them or what they meant, and it just appropriation on every level. And then the eagle things in the back, it was bad. It was a bad time. And the tramp
but it was
stamps.
hot in the moment.
Yes. And so
Yeah,
they show up. Oh, and he also double checks consent, like before they start getting into it. He's like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then they start getting freaky. So I appreciated that, where he like double checks before anything happens.
He's such a good man.
Consent is key, people.
Consent.
And then they finally show up to Dylan's. They have to walk up some stairs, and he answers the door, and it's like his face is barely out of that door. Like, what's y'all want? Oh, you here? It ain't a good time. My friend is sad. Oh, wait, it's a woman's voice. And Zoe Saldana at that point is like, bitch, what the fuck's going on? So she busts open the door. The girl on the couch is wearing the iconic cherry platform high heels that like everyone had. That print was everywhere in the 90s.
yes.
And I was here for it.
And
she's
looked
like,
real skanky though.
Real well, and like I don't want to judge her.
I'm judging.
I don't want to judge her. Like, he is the garbage human.
He is, but when she saw the interaction and saw that like that's his girlfriend or that he's done this, she was like cool and collected, like not caring.
Yes, I agree. So up until the point where she found out that he was engaged and stuff, like not her fault. The fact that she didn't react in some sort of way after finding out, now you're part of the problem, bitch. And so like they're arguing, and Zoe Saldana's like, "We're engaged. What are you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And then she notices that he is holding a blue beer bottle. And Mimi the whole time is like, "I don't want to have to go up with you." And Kit's like, "I need you up here, blah, blah, blah." Mimi is kind of standing off. And actually before the blue beer bottle, Dylan's like, "Oh, hey, Mimi." And Kit's like, "You know each other?" And Mimi's like, "Yeah." And then Kit notices the blue beer bottle.
Why wouldn't they know each other? Didn't they go to the same high school? Like, wouldn't they have like?
He's older.
How much?
Dylan's older.
Oh, okay.
He's already in college, right? So maybe a year
Yeah.
older. I don't know, but yeah, he's older, and so she was just like, "Oh, we met during Christmas."
Yeah.
And it all starts to click. Wait, Christmas, blue bottle.
Yeah. And so then she's like, "That night that you came over and there was a tear in your shirt, blah, blah, blah." Like it all starts to make sense to her. And Mimi turns at this point, is like trying to run away from the situation. She doesn't want to be in the middle of this, like this discussion. She already is traumatized. She doesn't want to talk about it. And as Kit's going to like go after her and be like, go talk to her, Mimi trips and falls down the stairs. And so now Mimi is in the hospital.
You get a shot of her keychain bouncing down the stairs too.
Oh yes.
Sorry for the background. It's microwave, but it's not too bad. It's it. We're just gonna push past it. One of the things that I really thought should maybe have been a conversation would have been if Mimi and Kit had a conversation about, you know, you were raped, and despite like if the situation with the baby or not, like you need to report this. And I would have talked to the doctors to make sure that they could have gotten some DNA of the baby as proof of the rape.
Yes.
And there should have been a conversation about that. It felt more like in the hospital when Kit comes in to talk to Mimi after everything that happens, that it was Mimi's consoling Kit.
Yeah.
When you've gone through now not one but two very traumatic, maybe three, because just finding out you're pregnant after the sexual assault, and then the loss of the baby is just like very traumatic things happening at once. It could have been a good conversation.
Yeah. Oh, and rewinding back to the scene with Dylan, as soon as Kit connects the dots, she learns what Mimi taught her and punches the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
I would have been stomping him out. I would have hit the bottle. Maybe it's the fact that Mimi falls that stops the rage.
Yeah.
The rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we find out Mimi has lost the baby, And she's like it was my keys or something. So they didn't even let her know in a gentle way. It was just like, oh, this happened. Like there, it seemed like there was no counseling on the hospital's end to make sure she was okay or anything like that. And earlier in the movie, she had talked about how she was going to put the baby up for adoption. She had all the pamphlets and everything, and she had to choose a family. And in this conversation with Lucy, she's like, I had decided when I was playing in the ocean, I felt her kick and I had decided to keep her. And so it was making it all that more traumatizing. And Lucy also called her dad and was like, I need you to come get us.
Yeah, I'm glad an adult was finally called after this. And he does come and acts kind of like, everyone, he really chews her out, saying that he had to dip into their fund for college and all their savings and stuff. And I feel like in that situation with what happened with Mimi and just how traumatic that all of this has been, he probably could have waited to chew her out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did write when Lucy was having the conversation with Mimi and Lucy goes to hold her hand or touch her or something. And Mimi's like, don't touch me. And Lucy's like, okay, gives her space or whatever. I did write, fuck man, Shonda can write about women for women. The consent and the conversations that they have and like real issues and real topics that are in this movie. It's not just like a fluff movie. There is a lot of heart. There's a lot of serious issues that are happening. And they're talked about in a way where like women feel victimized a lot of the time. And through this movie, like you see, like it's not Mimi's fault. Like
they're victimized, but they're not living a victim life.
Correct.
It's like you can have this thing happen to you and not become a personality characteristics that happens a lot when men are writing those situations, or like rape as a vehicle of moving the story along instead of it being kind of a part of where this journey is for a person.
And I feel like if it had been told from a male gaze, I feel like that Kit would have turned on Mimi and been like, you slept with my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. Like it could have gone that arc and it didn't. Like Kit immediately was like, you're an asshole. You're a fucking rapist. This is my friend type thing,
And so the dad is taking them back in the taxi
and
now.
This is where the dad was like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the choices you've made or whatever. After he like chews her out in the middle of the hospital while her friend just lost a baby. The other friend just found out her fiance's a rapist. Like Lucy's got a lot of shit going on. She just was rejected by her mother. There's a lot of heavy shit happening, Dad. We don't need you lecturing us in the middle of it. But they're packing up at the hotel and Ben walks in. She's like, Dad wants me to stay at his hotel. And he's like, well, what about the addition? She's like, no, I'm just going to go home. Like Dad needs me or whatever. And so she's kind of again doing what her dad wants and not following her dreams or becoming her own person and making her own decisions.
Because she's learned through trauma to be a people pleaser to her father. So because she's already been abandoned by one, she doesn't want to be abandoned by the other one.
And then this is where we see Kit come in. She brings Mimi flowers. Mimi immediately like compliments her punching technique, how she's learned really well.
How did you watch him fall? How hard he fell? And
all and that's also like a defense mechanism. Like Mimi reacts to traumatic events with humor instead of talking about her feelings. And so Kit apologizes. Mimi does thank her for coming with her on this trip. And then later on, when they're getting into the car, which they let Lucy wheel Mimi out of the hospital, which I'm like, a nurse always fucking wheels you out. Like it's never
it's legal at that point.
That's how hard she did not want any extra. She's like, I'll push her.
So Dad's loading them all up in the taxi to go to the airport so that they can go home. And Mimi and Kit kind of tell her, or no, they're still in the like lobby waiting for the taxi. And Mimi tells Lucy, like, Kent and I voted and you lost. You have to go to the record audition. And Lucy's like, no, we're just going home. That's what Dad wants. So she says goodbye to Ben. He shows up. She says goodbye to him. They all get in the taxi. And then she kind of starts thinking about it. She takes the locket off, hands it to her dad. And she tells him, you don't want me to be like her, so don't make me do what she did. Don't make me run. And so he starts to understand how she's feeling. She gets out of the car, goes and kisses Ben. And then the next thing we see is the audition. She auditions with her rendition of Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman, with musical arrangement by Ben.
And a photographer who can't stop taking pictures. Did y'all notice that was bothering me so much? I was like, why is this happening?
It was the extra.
I wrote, where did she get that shirt?
Yes.
This is the one where the sleeves.
Yes. It's like, I'm ready to fly. Yet my midsection is fully open for business.
Yeah.
With a nice crossover and cleavage.
Yes. So it was like Stevie Nicks sleeves.
Yes.
With a Britney.
But you gotta, I don't know if you paid attention to it, but you gotta admit how cool it was though, because when she put her hands up, I don't know, she probably was holding it and was slowly releasing it because it like billowed out so beautifully.
Yeah, it was gorgeous for a performance piece, but it was a weird piece of clothing.
I wrote, that shirt is epic. And why is there a photographer?
And then
we got Ben on drums, right?
He was on the keyboard, and then I wrote, oh, they're her backup singers. I thought they had gone home.
How does this this whole road trip turn from Mimi
auditioning?
Goal in life apparently is to go sing, and now it's just Lucy.
Well, maybe it's like Mimi realizing during the karaoke that she's not cut out for performing in front of crowds.
Have noticed that before this.
It's the only thing I can think of.
Oh Lord.
It seems like okay, we gotta put Britney Spears in the movie, but we can't be obvious. We can't make her be a singer, right? So let's make her just be like a small town girl, and she knows how to sing, and then what the heck? She's a pop star. Make her sing at the end.
I love that Brian came with a backstory. That's what we do here. We fill in the gaps.
And Dad's there too. So he's being supportive of her audition. And then the three girls after the audition go to the ocean to say goodbye to the past. And I didn't even document what they threw in there. I think it was her journal.
I had turned it off by then.
I don't know what was thrown in there. Ken said they're littering on the beach.
I didn't pay attention to what I just put that they time capsule for the past because they have each other now.
Ken is such a rule follower. It's hilarious.
And that, my friends, is Crossroads.
Oh, wow. We did it. But before
the credits end with a bloopers reel of another song off the album Britney called Overprotected.
Oh, and that song, I'm like, she is speaking to Jamie Spears loud and clear. How did we ever
miss the signs?
Overlook this?
Yes.
So it's really, really cute that they're having this little blooper reel of Britney performing Overprotected, and then they got bloopers of like the scene where they pull over because Ben's angry that they're driving, and you know how y'all talked about how he's like smoothly just gets out the car.
Yeah.
But they have a blooper reel of him actually falling out the car because he didn't jump out right. So that's cute. A lot of cute little moments in that blooper reel.
Well, before we get into our ratings, let's go over some more of the fun facts that we missed. I know, Brian, you were talking earlier about, songs that were from this movie that made it to the Britney album. Do you want to tell us which songs those were altogether?
Yes. Yeah, so there's 3 songs. So I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman was actually her second single from the Britney album, came out for I'm a Slave for You. Then Overprotected, the one that's on the end credits, that I think becomes the 3rd single, but I think it becomes, from the Britney fan standpoint, it's only a single overseas. But it does have 2 music videos because Boys was also a single. It was the 4th single. And Boys has an original version and the remix with Pharrell. We get the original Overprotected in the movie, but I think the US version was a remix by Darkchild.
Did she do a Pepsi commercial with Overprotected? I don't know.
She does a Pepsi commercial that she with her own song created.
Okay.
I don't think Overprotected was used in the commercials because she makes her own Joy of Life song
Yes,
that
yes,
was
yes, I
aired
remember
during
it.
Super Bowl. And then she later on does Generations Pepsi commercial, which is really cool. If you YouTube that, Britney did different generations of 60s, 70s, 80s, and there's like outfits and the way the song sang. But yeah, so not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman, Overprotected, and the cover of I Love a Rock and Roll are all three on the Britney album and all have music videos.
Nice. We did talk about Britney obviously being with Justin Timberlake during this time. And so she spent a lot of her free time on set hanging with him. He came to the set to visit quite a bit. What else, Jack?
Interestingly enough, Melissa Joan Hart was considered for the role of Mimi. So that would have been pairing them soon after their crazy music video where they were both in. And then both Kim Cattrall and Dan Aykroyd would later admit that the main reason for accepting their roles was that they wanted the opportunity to meet Britney Spears.
That's cute.
Yeah,
And Britney loves Sex and the City, so I think having Kim Cattrall in there must have been awesome for her too.
Yeah, and the girls on the Sex and the City set were super excited for Kim to be able to come because they love Britney. So it was mutually beneficial thing happening with them. And Britney kind of came up with the initial maybe concept, and then Shonda, wrote the script. But the original script, Lucy was supposed to have swear more, and Britney asked that some of the profanity be taken out. So not to tarnish her image for her younger preteen viewers, which was nice. She loves her fans.
The set used for the hospital scene is that from the TV series Scrubs.
I love that stuff.
Oh, Brian, what about this one do you see the fact all the way at the bottom where it's Britney made a sly reference to?
She has a song called I Want to Go. And in the music video, there's a theater marquee that reads Crossroads 2, Cross Harder. So you'll see that in the background. It's in a scene where Britney's out on the streets. I think she's standing on top of a car and she's swinging her microphone, beating up the paparazzi robots chasing her in that music video. But yes, Crossroads 2, Cross Harder is shown in the background, which is pretty funny.
Cute.
What else?
Shonda saw Britney as more, Shonda Rhimes, the writer, said she saw Britney as more than just a pop star. She had told the publication broadly, I was much more interested in the young woman that I met than the image that people had of her. She was a person, and I don't think anyone at that time was looking at her because it's such a misogynistic society as a person.
Yeah, so true. Oh, also, this movie was originally supposed to be named What Friends Are For, and also they used Not a Girl when they were filming, but then later on decided to use Crossroads. I'm not sure why, but I like it better.
I do
think
too.
Crossroads is definitely better than those two titles.
Yeah.
Because Not a Girl definitely would be like a completely different kind of film. You'd be thinking, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
Even honestly, the lyrics are kind of questionable to me all the time too.
And
I love her tease. I'm not a girl, ... What are you? Not yet a woman. Oh, okay. Jesus.
And Britney only ever requested two things while on set: tuna Lunchables and edamame.
Interesting. I've never had a tuna Lunchable. I didn't even know those existed.
I used to eat tuna Lunchables in like elementary and middle school.
The cowboy hat Lucy puts on at the beginning matches the hat Britney wore during her Dream Within a Dream tour, which took place the same year as Crossroads filming.
Love that tour. It's a really great tour. I guess looking back at the hat. Yeah.
I can't say I've never seen her live because we saw her at I want to say rodeo, but that's not what it was. The Broward County Fair. But I don't think I've seen a proper Brit show. So definitely.
I get to say, and Jackie too. Jackie, you were there at F1, right? We get to say that you didn't go to
F1.
I get to say that I am one of the people that got to see her last performance to date right now.
Oh, wow.
She performed at F1, Formula One here in Austin, Texas in 2016, 17, 18. I forget which year, but it was the end of her tour, her Vegas residency. She took it on tour, and that was her last show. So as of right now, that's her last performance she's ever done. I get to say I was there. I got to be part of the cool little trend during her Gimme More song when they say the fans scream, who is it? perfectly timed with her saying it's Britney bitch. So that's pretty fun. I have a good Instagram video of that.
All right, guys, I gotta speed things up.
Yeah, no worries.
In dire. Okay, I'm still recording. All right, Brian, what was your rating?
I would still stick with the would buy it or buy it again, or even keep it and pay late fees.
Jackie?
5-day. I enjoyed it. Like, I looked at Ken when it was done. I was like, this is not a bad movie. It's something that I would 100% watch again.
5-day rental for me too. It changed from 2-day. I think with maturity, I can appreciate some things more now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We either stay the same or went up. So that's rare.
Yeah.
And these parts. If you guys have any feedback, or if you go back and rewatch the movie, hit us up on our social on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube at No More Late Fees, and let us know what you think. And also, Jackie,
You can hit us at our quick drop. Leave us a voicemail, 909-601-6653, 909-601-6653, or NMLF. That's what those numbers spell. You can also, for our international fans, leave a message on our anchor.fm account. And feel free to leave feedback, suggest future movies, what you like, dislike, correction, blockbuster video, stories, favorite moments, rank Britney's outfits, participate in our this or that, anything. And you could be featured on a future episode.
and if you want to support the podcast and like what you hear, grab your Starbucks, throw on your Von Dutch trucker hat, and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. It helps us get exposure to other new fans. So please help us. I'm begging.
And if you'd like to help us in another way, like our newest Blu-ray bestie, Brian,
Woo.
head on over to patreon.com/no more late fees. You'll receive exclusive content, stickers, ask me anythings, polls, bonus videos, live Spotify playlist, birthday shout outs. It's fun. So be like Brian, go sign up.
Well, Brian, we are so excited. We finally made this happen. You were able to join us on such a momentous time. It's a great time to be alive that Britney's free. We really appreciate your Britney fandom and insight. And we just had so much fun with you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ladies. I'm so excited to listen to the podcast and be a part of it now. It's gonna be so weird when I hear this back. But so excited for Britney Spears. I'm glad she's free out of that conservatorship. Thank you, ladies, for loving her and supporting her too.
Absolutely.
And yes, please go be Patreon members, y'all. I did it, so you gotta do it.
And stay tuned for next week. Stay tuned for next week because we are gathering a team to pull off a heist of the century to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Ocean's 11, y'all.
I can't wait. George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon together. Like,
Honestly,
candy for the eyes.
I can't wait for the slander to talk shit about how awful they are as human beings. So.
But the movie is so good.
It is. The movie's amazing, but there's so many problematic people in that movie. I can't wait.
Brittany loves Brad Pitt, so no proof.
Well, until next time, be kind and rewind.